Welcome to ALMA Maldita. Today's school horror story awaits. The Haunting Halls. I never thought moving to a new school would be a nightmare, but that's precisely what happened when I joined Hollowbrook High. The place had a reputation for being eerie, but I didn't believe in ghosts or haunted schools. That was until I met him, Mark. He was the new student, and there was something undeniably creepy about him. From the moment Mark entered the classroom, an unsettling aura followed him. His eyes were dark, almost empty, and he rarely spoke. When he did, it was as if the words were forced out of his throat, and they sent shivers down our spines. Despite his creepy demeanor, I couldn't help but feel sorry for Mark. People whispered behind his back, gave him wide berths in the hallway, and teachers seemed to avoid making eye contact with him. I decided to befriend him, thinking he might need a friend in this hostile environment. One gloomy afternoon, I approached Mark during lunch break. "Hey, I'm Jake," I said with a friendly smile. He looked at me with those empty eyes, and for a second, I was sure he was going to reject my offer of friendship. But then, he nodded and mumbled, "Mark." We started sitting together at lunch, and slowly I got to know him better. He wasn't as creepy as people thought. In fact, he was quite intelligent and had a dark sense of humor that I found oddly appealing. We soon became inseparable, and Mark even introduced me to his hideout, an old dusty room in the basement of the school. The room was like something out of a horror movie. Broken furniture, cobwebs, and a sense of abandonment hung heavy in the air. Mark explained that he liked the solitude it offered, away from the judgmental gazes of our classmates. Little did I know, that room held the key to a horrifying truth. One evening, Mark and I were in the basement room, discussing our plans for the weekend. Suddenly the lights flickered, and a cold breeze swept through the room, extinguishing our candles. I felt a sudden weight on my chest, as if an invisible hand was pushing me down. Panic set in, and I could see the fear in Mark's eyes. Then, the whispers began, soft, eerie voices coming from the shadows. "Help us," they said. "We're trapped." Mark and I exchanged terrified glances as the voices grew louder and more desperate. It was then that Mark confessed something that sent a chill down my spine. "The spirits of the dead," Mark said with a trembling voice. "They are trapped here." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. It sounded like madness, but the evidence was right in front of me. The room seemed to come alive with spectral figures, flickering in and out of existence. Faces contorted in pain and fear, all pleading for release. Mark explained that years ago, a bomb blast had ripped through the very building we sat in, claiming the lives of many students and teachers. They were trapped in this in-between world, unable to move on, and Mark had the unique ability to communicate with them. He had been trying to help them find peace, but his efforts had been in vain. As the days passed, Mark's story became more disturbing. He had discovered that the spirits were not malevolent, but were trapped in a never-ending cycle of reliving their final moments. They had been trying to reach out to the living for years, but fear and disbelief had kept them isolated. With Mark's guidance, we embarked on a quest to unravel the mystery and help these tormented souls find the closure they desperately needed. It was a perilous journey that took us through hidden passages, deciphering cryptic messages, and confronting our own deepest fears. The spirits, once terrifying apparitions, revealed their true selves, innocent children and caring teachers, victims of a tragedy they had no control over. It was a heartbreaking realization that we were surrounded by the echoes of lost lives. In the end, with the spirits' guidance, we uncovered a hidden room in the basement, a makeshift memorial created by the survivors of the blast. Within that room, we found a journal that detailed the final moments of those who had perished. With this newfound knowledge, Mark and I conducted a ritual to release the spirits. As the room filled with a blinding light, we heard their voices one last time, thanking us for setting them free. The oppressive atmosphere that had haunted Hollowbrook High for so long finally lifted, but the experience left a lasting mark on us. We had witnessed the supernatural, confronted our deepest fears, and learned the power of compassion and friendship.